On the subject of football transfers, everybody focuses on the size of the players making the move and the amount of money spent. But have you ever considered who are the managers that have spent the most amount of money in their career? This episode of Money Talks focuses on that. My name is Tunde Young, and here to answer that question is our financial football expert, Ayola Kelechi.
Hi Tunde, how are you doing?
So, Ayola, let's just get right into it and focus on this. Who are the managers that have spent? The term checkbook manager gets thrown around a lot. Who are the managers that actually qualify for this term?
Yeah, it does. And when you look at the top 10, you might not be surprised because a lot of people have actually been called checkbook managers. I mean, apart from Jurgen Klopp, who is in 11th, you have people like Mauricio Pochettino, who is in 10th, mostly because of his spell at Chelsea and, of course, PSG, and the money that was spent in that period. You also have managers like Thomas Tuchel, Unai Emery, and a top four that is dominated by people that you are used to, people like Carlo Ancelotti, Jose Mourinho, Diego Simeone, and number one, expectedly, Pep Guardiola, who has spent a total of 1.7 billion euros throughout his managerial career.
I hear all these names, but I want to focus on the elephant that's not in the room in this situation, which is Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't hear that name in the top 10 or even when you extend to 11 like mentioning Jurgen Klopp. How come?
Well, when you look at Ferguson in the time period that he was spending a lot of money, it's not that he didn't spend a lot of money, but we don't really factor inflation in these things. Okay. So when you look at the signing that he made in 2004, it's going to be very differently priced in 2024. And when you adjust for inflation, in fact, he will be leading by far. He would have spent around 3.5 billion euros in the entirety of his career, because if you look at his time at Manchester United, he broke the British transfer record 3 times. He signed the most expensive teenager, most expensive defender, most expensive midfielder in British history. So all these signings, as I said, added up to around 3.5 billion euros, which is by far more than Pep Guardiola, by far more than Jose Mourinho. Even when you consider Mourinho's signings at Chelsea in his first spell, which were also among the most expensive. You look at someone like Andriy Shevchenko, who today would be the most expensive signing in British history, with around 250 million euros. But back then it was around 31 million euros. But it was also a British transfer record. But that would fall under Mourinho. But it would still not put him anywhere close to what Ferguson has spent. Because when you look at over 30 years of management, 26 at Manchester United, to win 13 Premier League trophies, you have to be competitive in the transfer market, and that is what it was. So he would be the most, should I say, the most checkbook manager of all time, if you consider it that way.
I mean, but isn't it a bit unfair to these managers, especially the ones that are listed in this top 10, top 11? How do you differentiate between the manager signing and a club signing? Because some of these managers can get the checkbook manager tag. There's someone like Pochettino, for example, where you just happen to be at the club when they were signing everybody that walked past the street.
Well, that's why managers try to take some control over club finances or club transfers, so that when people are considering how good you were or how bad you were, if you look at Pochettino's time at Chelsea, people say, oh, he was a flop at Chelsea because Chelsea spent almost $1 billion while he was manager of Chelsea, but they were not able to win anything. So at the end of the day, it's still going to be tied to your accomplishments at the club. And you see managers now like Mikel Arteta, managers like Guardiola, being more intentional about who the club signs, when they sign them, and sometimes even how much the club decides to sign them. Look at someone like Erik ten Hag, for example, spent over 600 million euros at Manchester United. A lot of those people were his signings, so he won't be able to differentiate himself from those signings in that sense.
On this episode of Money Talks, I learned that no one is more successful on the pitch than Pep Guardiola, but also no one has spent more money than him, except for Alex Ferguson if you adjust for inflation. Thank you very much, Ayola Kelechi, for helping us get to the root of the matter. My name is Tunde Young. This has been Money Talks. Please let us know what you feel. Any comments?